Hey everybody, 2C2 here, eustace2c2. I want to talk to you today and do a video. It's January 30th, 2013. Today they had a hearing on proposed legislation for the gun ban. And I watched the hearing, most of it, on CNN. And I want to discuss a little bit about what I saw and some of my opinions based on what I heard from the various senators and the witnesses that they brought in. First, I want to say that one of the things I found quite telling was the fact that within a few words, or the first sentence that came out of the mouths of whomever happened to be speaking at the time, you instantly knew what side of the political fence, so to speak, they were on. You could tell if they were, pro-gun or anti-gun within no time, which I thought spoke volumes in and of itself. The fact that it was so blatant, their single-mindedness, and this is on both sides, that it really showed through. What did really disgust me was the blatant use of standing on the graves, if you will, by the anti-gun members of Congress, as well as the witnesses themselves. I understand, and yes, it was a tragic event at Newtown, and there have been other tragic events and tragic loss of life, but honestly, do you have to repeat and go through the entire litany of what happened each and every time, over and over again? We're all aware of it. I think you would have to be living under a rock or worse to not know of these events. So to try to use them to further your own agenda, I mean, really, it was uncalled for, I thought. But that aside, there were some key things that I got out of watching this circus, and it's really what it was, in my opinion. It was a dog and pony show, a circus. They would trot out their witnesses, and there were witnesses that were obviously biased on both sides. They would feed them leading questions, after, of course, building them up, speaking well of them. That was another thing that was repeated over and over again. After about the fifth or sixth time, I heard someone speaking to Captain Giffords, the husband of the woman shot in Arizona. I thought to myself, okay, we know who he is, we know his history, we know why he's here. Why do you keep bringing it up other than, to play on the emotions of people and to try to build an emotional response? But, they would build them up and then ask them the questions. And usually the questions were obviously favorable, so that they were easy to answer. There were some tough questions asked by both sides. But the things that really stuck in my mind is the fact that they would talk about statistics, and one side would present a statistic that would support its view, and then almost immediately the other side would come back and try to take that statistic and dispute it, call it false. I don't think anyone outright called the others liars, but it was a polite, politically correct way of saying it, no pun intended. And then they would go back and forth, and I couldn't help but think of the old saying of liars, damn liars, and statisticians. And of course you can throw in politicians on that as well, and it's still very valid. But they talked about, the 40% of firearms sold through private sales, or the gun show loophole, as they love to call it. Yes, there are some people who will set up booths at gun But the majority of sales that I've seen in various gun shows that I've gone to were of one individual selling one or two at the most, usually, firearms to another individual. And granted, even if a lot of single individuals sell one firearm, the numbers can add up, but it's not this case of people sitting down and doing these straw purchases or selling hundreds of firearms off the books, so to speak, that they try to imply that it is. I do think that we need to have better background checks, and by that I mean the system that we currently use lacks a lot of information. They spoke on the fact that not a lot of states have good information on mental issues, so that a person can go in and look, the system's flawed to begin with. A person can go into a gun store, they can put down their information, and they're asked to answer a certain number of questions, yes or no. Now, with just a little work, it's very easy to put down incorrect information that they are not going to be able to verify or not. Sure, you have to show picture ID, you have to show your driver's license. People, it's not that hard to even get past that. You hear stories of people all the time with fake IDs, so, really, how effective is that? Asking a person to answer a series of questions. How do you know they're answering them truthfully? So it's flawed from the beginning. What the answer is, I'm not really sure. But they kept talking about, universal background checks. Basically, any single person that wants to sell a firearm will have to go through a federally licensed firearms dealer and have them run a background check on your prospective buyer of your personal property. Now, I see several problems with that. One, that means you're going to have to take time to go do this, and it's not going to be a quick process because you're going to have to meet the person at a dealer. You're going to have to run the background check through a system which is going to be handling a much larger volume, and it's already gone down just in the past months because of the increase in the number of gun sales, because of panic buying, because of the proposed ban legislation. So, figure it will be as bad as it was when the system went down, even worse, with an added 40% increase in volume of background checks for all of these firearms. I didn't really agree with that. Another fact is that there are a lot of firearms out there that have already passed between many, many, many hands without background checks and paperwork. So there are a lot of quote-unquote unregistered guns, if you want to put it that way, out there that are never going to get back into the system because the owners know the value of those particular firearms and the fact that they really can't be traced easily, and they're not going to start putting them back into the system after they've been worked out of the system. So universal background checks will not impact that, in my opinion. They talked a lot about high-capacity magazines, and one thing that I really liked that I heard was the statement of calling them standard capacity magazines. These firearms come standard with 11 to 19 round magazines for pistols, 20, 30 round magazines for rifles such as the AR-15. And I really liked that. One of the senators kept harping over and over and over again about a 100-round magazine. Okay, I'll grant you, I personally wouldn't want one anyway because most of them are pieces of junk prone to, fail, as proven in the Colorado shooting. They really aren't easy to carry around. They're bulky, they're cumbersome. It's not like you can easily strap 300 or 400 round drum magazines to your body. I'd much rather carry, 10 or more 30-round magazines on a tactical vest or by other means than to try to lug those things around. So let them have their 100-round magazines. They can ban those. I really don't care. They spoke a little bit about the cosmetic additions to the so-called assault rifles. They do not make a weapon more deadly. In fact, they, in my opinion, make them safer. They're used so you can better control the weapon. They're used so the weapon functions better and is less prone to certain failures. I would rather have a weapon that's easier to control, less prone to fail if you're firing it. So, and it doesn't make the weapon any more deadly. It's more. I heard one of the witnesses say, "Well, it's tactical advantage." True. I want a tactical advantage if I'm defending my home or myself or my family from intruders. Why shouldn't I have that? I don't think that's unreasonable. But anyway, those are some of my thoughts just on, like I said, I watched about an hour and a half of the hearings, and those are some of the things that I took away from it. I'm going to do some other videos here, and hopefully you'll enjoy this, find it entertaining or educational, either one. As always, feel free to comment. Please keep it polite, and try not to get off topic. If it gets to the point where it becomes flame war, I'll shut down the comments, and I have no problems removing comments that don't follow the rules. It's my video, it's my comments section. Play by my rules, or they're gone. Be sure thumbs up, thumbs down. And again, if you don't like it, that's fine, and you can post to that effect. Just keep it civil. As always, 2C2. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks.